The CEO slammed her hand on the conference table. Who fired him? No one answered. The room fell silent as every manager avoided eye contact. The quiet single dad had cleaned out his desk less than an hour earlier. No one in the building knew they had just fired a man worth billions. Daniel Brooks never acted like a billionaire. After selling a software company years earlier, he quietly invested his fortune and stepped away from the spotlight. Instead of retiring, he chose to work a regular job under a different name because he wanted a normal life for his 8-year-old son, Noah, after losing his wife. He believed his son should grow up seeing the value of honest work, not unlimited wealth. Daniel accepted a position as a logistics coordinator at Redwood Industries. He arrived early every morning, helped coworkers without taking credit, stayed late whenever deadlines approached. Most employees assumed he was an ordinary single father struggling to make ends meet. Only Daniel knew that every paycheck he earned was deposited untouched into Noah's college fund. One Monday morning, the department manager, Kevin, became frustrated after a shipment was delayed because a supplier had made an error. Without investigating, Kevin blamed Daniel. "You've become too slow," Daniel calmly explained. "The supplier entered the wrong inventory code. We can still fix it." Kevin refused to listen. "I've heard enough. Pack your things." Several co-workers tried to defend Daniel, but Kevin ignored them. Daniel quietly packed a framed picture of Noah and a small notebook where he kept ideas for improving company operations. Before leaving, he smiled. "I hope everything works out." That afternoon, CEO Victoria Hayes returned from an overseas business trip. The first report waiting on her desk showed production delays and rising customer complaints. As she reviewed the details, one sentence caught her attention. Daniel Brooks, employment terminated. She looked confused. Who fired him? The executive team looked at one another. Finally, Kevin spoke. "I did." "Why? He wasn't performing?" Victoria frowned. "Where's the documentation?" Kevin remained silent. She called the operations director. "Bring me Daniel's performance file." Minutes later, the file arrived. Victoria read page after page. Every evaluation rated him outstanding. He had reduced shipping costs, improved warehouse efficiency, created software tools that saved the company millions. She looked up. "This is your definition of poor performance." Nobody answered. Then the operations director quietly added, "There's something else." He placed a business magazine on the table. The cover featured Daniel. The headline read, "Tech billionaire Daniel Brooks quietly invests another $2 billion into Children's Education Foundation." Victoria's eyes widened. "This is our Daniel?" The director nodded. "He never told anyone." Kevin turned pale. I didn't know." Victoria looked at him firmly. "It shouldn't have mattered." She immediately called Daniel. He answered cheerfully. "Hello, Daniel. This is Victoria Hayes. I owe you an apology." Daniel smiled. "I appreciate that. Would you come back?" He hesitated. "I'll meet with you." The following morning, Daniel returned to headquarters. Employees stood and applauded as he entered. Victoria welcomed him personally. "I've never been more embarrassed as a CEO." Daniel smiled gently. "You weren't the one who fired me." She nodded. "But I was responsible for building a culture where it could happen." The board offered Daniel an executive position with a generous salary. He politely declined. "I don't need another title. What I do want is fairness." Victoria listened carefully. "No employee should lose a job because one manager refuses to listen. Everyone deserves to be heard." The board unanimously approved new workplace policies requiring multiple reviews before any employee could be terminated. Kevin stood and faced Daniel. "I'm sorry. I judged you without understanding your work." Daniel shook his hand. "I forgive you. But remember something. The richest thing a person owns isn't money. It's their reputation." Over the following months, Daniel agreed to remain as a strategic advisor, mentoring young managers and helping improve company culture. He never mentioned his fortune. He never asked for special treatment. Instead, he continued arriving early and greeting every employee by name. One afternoon, Noah visited the office after school. He looked around the busy headquarters and asked, "Dad, why do you still work if you already have billions?" Daniel smiled. Because money can buy comfort. But honest work builds character. Noah nodded thoughtfully. I want to be like you. Years later, Noah graduated from college. During his speech, he looked proudly at his father. When people discovered my dad was a billionaire, they were shocked. He smiled. But that's never been the most impressive thing about him. The most impressive thing is that he treated everyone with respect long before they knew who he was. The audience rose in a standing ovation. As father and son walked outside into the evening sunlight, Daniel quietly reflected on everything that had happened. Being fired had never damaged his future because his true worth had never depended on a paycheck or a job title. What mattered most was the example he set for his son, that humility is greater than wealth, integrity is stronger than power, and the greatest leaders never need to announce how successful they are. In the end, the company didn't remember the billions he owned. It remembered the quiet, single dad whose character was worth far more than his fortune.